either one of you, if you'd like to answer these questions, Jai, you could just answer it. How do you deal with like your anxiety in sports or in class or in life? Yeah, how do you deal with your anxieties? Jai or her, would you like to go first? Whoever wants to go first, I don't know.
Would you mean like anxieties in terms of athletics?
Yeah, or in life or anything. Just, we're all going through it right now. So.
Oh, well, I I really like the one step at a time kind of mentality. I really take it one day at a time and try not to think about the future because that tends to stress me out. I am definitely a person who likes to know like what the plan is, like what my future looks like. So I think if you just focus on like the task at hand and like how you can be your best in each moment, that's definitely something that has gotten me through.
Mr. Richardson, any advice?
Well, I guess for me, I mean, we're all going through a lot of anxiety right now with COVID, racial tensions, the election. Um, and for me, information is the answer for me to deal with anxiety. The more information I have about something, the better I'm able to deal with it. If I am dealing with the anxiety of the election, then I need to know all there is to know about how things are going, why it's going that way, what can be done, what can't be done. And the same thing with the anxiety of having to deal with and my son told me never to mention him, but having to deal with my son who graduated from Occidental 3 years ago with a pre-med curriculum, who is supposed to be in med school right now, is decided to take a route where he is getting experience in the emergency room. So two anxieties there. One, the exposure of working 12 hours in an emergency room, and two, when will he take that next step to med school? And again, it comes down to understanding the situation, understanding his concerns about jumping into med school too soon, too quick, wanting to be. His character makes him want to be fully prepared to a point where he's over prepared, and that's what he's doing. But he is on a track, and I understand that track, and so in understanding that, I'm able to move some of my anxiety out the way. Not all of it, but some of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Both of you, focusing on task at hand, I think has helped me the most. What's your biggest challenge? And I guess I'll ask Jaya first, that you have not been able to overcome yet?
I would say I definitely lack confidence in a lot of situations. And I have to, and it's something that I have to like constantly remind myself of. And I think that might be a systematic issue in terms of like the experiences I've had leading up to this point of like reasons why I would lack that confidence. But I think that, I don't know, every experience that that you have triumph in is another reason to like assure yourself of your good qualities. And so I would say pay attention to those and keep encouraging yourself and recognizing everything that you're good at.
Her biggest challenge?
Well, I have no challenges that I haven't overcome now. But if I go back in the past, then there would be several. One would be the confidence that I lacked academically to take on the opportunity to go to the University of Pennsylvania and do the night school first. I might address that differently if I had the academic confidence to do that. The academic confidence to continue in the initial career path I chose, which was medicine. I was pre-med at St. Joe's, but I was working full time, I was school full time, and I was rowing full time, and I couldn't meet that challenge. And so the dean said, why not graduate with your minor and then come back and finish your pre-med requirements? Well, once I graduated with my minor, I ran. I was done. I didn't go back. I eventually went back for a graduate degree in another area, but I never went back to medicine. So those are a couple of challenges that I did not follow through on. So I guess follow through at an earlier age was a challenge for me. Uh, Once I started achieving executive level positions, uh, I as they say, once you're driving the bus, once you're in charge, you have a lot more control, and there's a lot more things you can do and accomplish, and a lot more people you can help. So once I got to that point, I was fine.
Thank you so much. What are your guys' hopes and dreams for rowing and people of color? Jai can go first, or
I'm really excited to see how there's a little bit more diversity in the sport. I think that a lot of times I will look across the line and like very much be one of the very few people of color in the boat. So I think that would be really exciting to see that kind of grow and become better, more diversity. For myself, I think I have hopes to just be satisfied with my successes and achieve exactly what I feel is best for myself and not let like other outside influences determine that.
Could you repeat that question?
yeah, what are your hopes and dreams for rowing and people of color? I guess just like intertwined in people of color and rowing and.
Yeah, well, my hopes and dreams are that programs like this continue to foster an opportunity for increased diversity in rowing. My hopes and dreams are that programs like this expand to other states and other locations, and that recruitment for minorities in the rowing area increases. I My son, who was going to do rowing in high school, he was excited about the idea. I was excited about the idea. I went out and bought a multi-$1,000 rowing machine for him to get ready and get in shape and everything. And at the last minute, he said, "No, I'm gonna I'm gonna do something else." So he ended up getting black belts in a couple of different martial arts, which is fine because I'm still proud of him. Okay. But I had a godson who did row, and I think he rowed for Columbia, as a matter of fact. And the diversity in rowing has been very slow in coming. So I'd like to see it emphasized more, and the opportunities made more, and scholarships offered more. And I think that's doable when we start to pursue those avenues.
Thank you. I think personally, my hopes and dreams is that when I see that a black girl was recruited onto my team, that I'm not like, so surprised that it won't be like this big surprise anymore. And like, I won't be like, oh, finally, that it'll be just like a normal thing that happens all the time. And that I like, that there just aren't, girls and boys on teams where they just feel like they're the only ones on that team and no one's going to understand and there's no support system for them. So I guess, I don't know, just hopefully this becomes normalized that black people row, and then I guess for both of you, where do you see the sport going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, I'll go first. Well, based on what I'm hearing and seeing here, I sort of expect the sport to expand more to the community of people who are of color. Just hearing what Jala said about Columbia and the number of diversity non-white personnel who are in the boat, not just black, but other colors too, was exciting for me to hear. And the fact that you yourself are thinking from the perspective of doing research, if you had a chance to do research to see what schools had other minorities in the boat, I think that says something to me that this generation is much more sensitive and cognizant of that issue And because of that, I think it's going to foster an avenue for greater participation.
To add on to that, I think that there will probably be, I hope that there would be more inclusion in terms of access for more classes of socioeconomic status. I think that's something that is the barrier for the sport of rowing specifically, and sometimes that can trickle into like problems of race inevitably. So I hope that that will be a step that the sport will take. And I do think that I've seen like lots of steps recently in that direction take place. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you. And I guess real quick, I just want to open up the floor for any questions from the audience. Anybody, any questions real quick before we close out? Okay, no? Well, if you do have questions before we close out, you definitely type them in. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, I actually have a question for anyone who wants to answer. If there was anything that you could change about your experience, anything that you, looking back, you regret, or any advice that you would give yourself or me as someone who's going to row in college, just anything, what would you say?
If you guys don't mind, I'll go first. I already thought. But I think look at all your options and make sure you know, see, like, don't hold yourself back. Like, don't think, well, this team is so fast that I won't be able, they're not going to want to recruit me. Like, all you can get is a no. That's all you have to be afraid of is a no. And I think I was afraid of the no, and you cannot be afraid of the no. And I think going back, I would definitely reach out more to different teams. And also, like Jaya was saying earlier, look on the team and see who they're recruiting. And that tells a lot, And you might think because the school is somewhere that it's not going to be what you think it is, but it tells a lot who they recruit.
Adding on to what Juliana said, I think you definitely should not be afraid of the no from other people, but also don't accept it from yourself. And I think that's something that's really important is don't hold yourself back or limit yourself or get afraid to push yourself. That's something that I struggle with a lot mentally. So don't let yourself hold yourself back, if that makes sense.
I think what I would add to all of that is don't be afraid. I'm on mute. No. Okay. What I would add to that is that don't be afraid to recruit other people to join you. When I rowed for community college, I recruited a friend of mine to come and row. Now, my biggest regret is that I didn't stay on top of him because he lasted about a week and said, these early hours and this work is too much for me. But if I had stayed in his corner, he might have continued in it. And that would have helped diversify the team. You have a platform as a male or female rower of color, and you can use that platform to bring others into the sport. Use it.
Thank you. I just got a question in the chat. Oh, let's go ahead, Sada.
Oh, no, I just said thank you.
I just got a question in the chat for me and Jaya. The question is, how would you increase access, knowledge, and exposure to the sport, of the sport to a younger generation at the high school level? And what do you think would have drew your high school friends to the sport? I think, like right now, I'm constantly still in cahoots with PCR. Like I never left, it feels like I'm still on the team. So definitely just, reaching out to all my friends, and I'm still in the group chat with the girls and talk to them all the time, and always make sure that they know that I'm here for them and can ask me any question at any time of day. So I guess just making sure that you're open for anyone in the chat. Like I'll drop my email, but just like making sure that people know that I'm here for them. And then what drew me to, what I think would have drew my friends in high school to the sport. I kind of did it freshman year. It was just me and one other person on the team. And by senior year, there's about 5 of us or 6 of us on the team. And I think just like really showing them like, these are the opportunities and we have fun, even though it hurts. And like, we're doing it together. Making sure that you emphasize that you're together is important.
I would say what would draw my friends to sport would be kind of having the courage to go on a limb and try it. And I think that, like Juliana said, a lot of people are like have this like idea that it hurts and it's hard, and that kind of scares them away from trying it. But I think if it honestly, in my experience, like if I didn't even try it, I wouldn't be here. And I kind of was hesitant to, but I think that if more people just like gave it a try, it's obviously not for everyone, but that might be a great solution. So I guess going back to what Herb said, I guess you have to encourage your friends and try to recruit people.
Jaya, there's a question for you. It says, what keeps you motivated during COVID, and how do you go through this process as a student athlete?
I would say what keeps me motivated is the possibilities for the future. I think, especially in the sport of rowing, it's a very fitness-driven sport, and it's really easy to fall off of that. I definitely have in the past couple of months, and it's definitely okay to take breaks and give your body rest. But I think just having a very solid routine and keeping yourself accountable for small things is something that's gotten me through. So I like to set certain boundaries and be like, okay, today you're going to do this X, Y, and Z meters, or throughout the week you're going to do X, Y, and Z meters. Just to keep yourself like in a good like foundation, but you don't necessarily need to be in the same place as you would normally be by yourself. But I know it can definitely be hard to get yourself on an erg by yourself without your teammates or any other kinds of like outside help, if that makes sense. But I think I also look into the future and think about what situation I would be in and how I would look back, if that makes sense. So I don't want to be sitting on an erg, like getting ready for a 6K test next fall and think, what if I just like maintain my fitness a little bit better throughout quarantine? Like I would be a lot happier right now. So that's kind of what's keeping me going.
Yeah, I definitely can attest to that. I agree. It's like the small reminders to yourself to like continue doing something, and like the small things, instead of like, overwhelming yourself with this big idea of like, I need to be at this certain, athletic level, and you like don't have all of the things you would have normally. So like you're saying, don't beat yourself up too much. But all right, if there's any more questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. But I'm just going to go through my closing remarks. So thank you to everyone and our speakers, and just thank you to everyone for coming today. And I know that many of you are also high school rowers, and if you like what you heard today and enjoyed the boathouse, then you might be thinking about continuing to row in college. And I was definitely in the same boat, as I've said multiple times. And I think doing the Penn Gold program over the summer definitely like made my decision. And I remember being so nervous about like, the intensity of the program, because it is like, it's super scary. Like they talk about how competitive it is, and it really is. But I was also really excited to challenge myself. And it was like really this way to sample what it would be like and if I could handle it. And I just knew it was like, collegiate rowing was something for me when I like pushed past walls that I never thought I could. And it happens like magically, you're put in this environment and you kind of just adapt, and you don't even realize that you're adapting, and you can really handle more than you think. So, so I think, or I don't think, but the scholarship was offered to one student athlete per summer, but the task force that organized the meeting today is working on expanding that to at least 6 athletes, which is insane to think about, because if I had 5 other girls on the team come with me, or not just girls, but 5 other members on the team, I think it would have made my experience much more delightful. But I still had fun. I had an amazing time, don't get me wrong. But I highly recommend that you take interest in the opportunity and talk to your coaches about it, because it was honestly, and it's going to sound cheesy, but life-changing, because don't know if I would have continued rowing in college if I would not have experienced summer rowing, because it's totally different. So I just want to thank you all again, and make sure if you have any questions, you type them in the chat. But thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you, Juliana.
Awesome. Thank you so much to all our speakers. Thank you to Juliana for emceeing our speakers, and Juliana, if you guys want to drop your emails or anything, ways that anyone can contact you in the chat, we can also send it out in an email so that any of the athletes can reach out to you if they have any questions. But thanks so much, everyone. We're hoping to have more of these speaker series in the future. So keep eyes out from your coaches we'll be sure to try to send out the information as much as possible. But thank you all for coming. That concludes our event. So great job, everyone. Thanks. Have a great day. Have a great
Thank
holiday.
you.
Stay healthy.
Is that it?
Yeah, I guess we'll just leave now. I don't really
Oh,
know.
okay. All right. Bye.